Hello everyone. So, if you're a startup founder or a business person, you obviously know that LinkedIn is one of the best ways to get leads through cold email or through cold messaging and also through connecting. And it has a higher chance of converting into revenue and also pipeline, and also having a good chance to build good relationships with people. Because decision makers, a lot of decision makers of large companies, even not large companies, are on LinkedIn, and they make those decisions whether to buy software or to make partnerships with people, a lot of things. So you know that LinkedIn is like a gold mine when it comes to being able to build business relationships, and it's also untapped. So it's very ripe for a lot of new people to come in to new niches and be able to build a good audience. But compared to Twitter or Reddit or even YouTube, right, the structure is different, and the way you need to do your posts and the rhythm of the post and the tone of the post needs to be is totally different, and the requirement of LinkedIn is totally different compared to Twitter or Reddit or even YouTube. So that is what I'll be talking about. I've analyzed over hundreds of thousands of posts manually, and understanding every single detail of what made them successful compared with the posts that didn't make that didn't bring successful engagement, and what are the easiest replicating playbook that you can use in order to build your profile. Because right, if you're building a startup or a business, obviously you have a lot of content ideas, possible content ideas, because you're dealing with customers every day. You're building things, the way you talk with your the way you build with your team, the principles that you follow, and customer stories, or the way you fix certain bugs. So there's a lot of stories, but there needs to be a certain structure, there needs to be a specific way you post on LinkedIn that will basically get you the sort of engagement that you need, which will bring you the target audience that you want, and then be able to build a good audience, build good engagement, and therefore be able to turn that into revenue and pipeline. So if you're that kind of person, be sure to stick around, and I'll share the most simple way that you could do it. And also I have examples of posts that I've analyzed that are successful, that we can go ahead and use and be take inspiration from and understand what made them successful. So you could basically replicate that. It's quite easy, so you need to try to understand the structure of it. Okay. So the number one point of any LinkedIn post is a scroll stopping hook. So basically on LinkedIn people are scrolling, right? So you need to be able to make them stop scrolling and read your post. Because it's a very small space, you need to be able to get most amount of their attention and their willingness to see your post, because there should be a reason for them to see your post, right? They're not going to just see your post, so there needs to be a reason for it. So let's say you could have the most engaging story. You need to have a really good hook in order to either make them relatable or make them think, okay, what could this possibly be. Maybe something like something really absurd or something. It could be something scroll stopping, even something similar to movies, right? It's something scroll stopping. It should make them either think, or maybe it should make them learn something. So it should be able to think, okay, what could this be, or it should be something interesting, so it should make them stop. Ideally you want it to be in a short number of characters, because that's what LinkedIn prioritizes, right? Before the see more button, you need to be able to optimize for that. So make sure to do something. uh, First of all, what I would suggest is write down the entire post and take the main point of the post, right? What is the takeaway, what is the reason of the main part of the post? Make that into a hook, right? Use tools like Postking, which I've linked below. And also, if you want, you could use any AI tools to make that into a really powerful hook that is in your voice, right? Because having it in your voice is really important. Anyone could build a hook. It needs to be within your voice, tailored to your audience, so that it's consistent and your audience believes you, right? Which is very important. So scroll stopping hook is the first. You need to have a post rhythm. Okay, so you don't want to be writing a bunch of paragraphs at once. At least when you're building your profile, right, to build that trust and build the reason for the people to see your profile, it's important that your post has a rhythm. So two paragraphs, then one paragraph, then three paragraphs, then two sentences, then a couple of points, and then two paragraphs. So there should be a good structure and a good rhythm to the post, so people, it doesn't feel like people are reading too long of a post, but it's also kind of interesting for the people to read, and it gets across the maybe the learning or the story that you want to convey. If you write it in paragraphs, although it's very interesting and it's a useful thing, it wouldn't get across, which is very important. You want people to, we want your story and your learnings to get across to people. So post-realism is one of the key points, and we'll go more into that through the examples. Media is also important. If you see, if you could just go into LinkedIn right now, pause this video, go to linkedin.com and just scroll for the next 10 to 20 posts. I can guarantee that the at least 80% of the posts have some sort of media, maybe an image, maybe a video, or a carousel, right? So it's very important to have, as some form of media, right? Maybe just an image of you or office, or maybe a video, a short video, or even if you're posting much more informative info content, it can be a carousel. There are a lot of platforms which can create carousels, and even you could use something simple as canva.com in order to get your lessons learned and put into a carousel format, and then use that, right? So make sure to have some form of media for the post, and we'll also go about what type of image you need to put, which is also important. And every post needs to have a takeaway or a learning, because at the end of the day, right, people, they're spending their time, they want to make sure that the post is something useful for them. It needs to either teach them something, they should have learned something, or either agree or disagree with something. There should be some form of feedback loop, right? There should be a reason for them to read the post. So every time you write a post, right, maybe it's a personal story, or it could be a feature release, which is a different story, but a story or something, or learning, make sure to always think, right, what is going to be the reason for the reader to read this post, and then work your way up from there. So you can think of the hook, the post rhythm, the type of media that you want to put. Always have like a takeaway at the end of the post, so the user learns something, and it's much effective of their time, which is important. So it might seem simple, right? It's very simple, but it's very important to take this and make it into your own profile. So each profile and each niche is totally different. Tech niche, marketing niche, each has its own nuances, which is important to understand. You can't take a post that normally performs in like the entertainment niche or in the marketing niche and then post it in the tech niche, because the readers in the tech niche are different, the expectations are different. So that needs to be understood. That is why we built our tool, PostKing. It understands niches, it understands hundreds of thousands of posts from each niche, and it creates your posts in a sort of good structure that is fit for your profile. So it creates a new kind of content plan for you. Okay, so this is the type of voice we're going to follow, this is the type of content we're going to post on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and these are the type of this is the type of certain voice that we're going to be going over like through the post, right? So it will create like a new unique voice for you based on all of your posts and based on your specific niche. It has a good understanding of it, so you should use that in order to create your posts and be able to make sure to structure your post that is good in your specific niche. So let's go over some examples, right? So this is one of the, so these are successful posts of these specific profiles. There's a lot you could learn from all of this. I'll leave a link to a very detailed Notion document that I've set up, which goes over a lot of LinkedIn profiles and the reasons why they became successful. It goes very much in detail, so I'll leave that in the description as well for you guys. So here you can see, right, the first three lines, 1, 2 and 3, is basically the hook, huge news. So this is also not like clickbait. It's very clear, okay, this person is a big person, maybe in the startup space, and huge news means, okay, he has something to announce. So okay, makes me think, it's interesting, and I go down, and the post clearly has a rhythm. You could see it's a couple of sentences, and through numbering it has certain points, and then you could see over here there's an image, right? So this is one of the, as I said, common rhythms of successful posts. And over here you could see there is a takeaway, there is a learning, there's a reason for the people to read it. You can see Now we're investing in Indian founders in the Bay and India, and I would love to connect. So there's a reason for the people. So after this, people would either message him or comment on his post or like his post, things like that. We go to another post. So this post, right, is by a person called Adam Robinson. He is a big person in the big influence in the marketing niche. He also has his startup. So this post has a really good question hook. So it asks, what does the CEO of a $25 million ARR business actually do all week? So you can see in the hook, right, it includes numbers. Also I think I forgot to mention, right, including numbers is very important. Maybe a year or maybe financial number, it's very important. Also including capitalized values is also something that works with a lot of marketing related posts, which I've understood, basically I guess around 30 to 40,000 profiles and posts. So you could see that it has a really good structure. It has capitalized values, names, as well as you know attaching people's profiles, as well as numbers, right, financial numbers. And you can see over here, as we talked about, the post has a really good rhythm. It has a couple of sentences, then paragraphs, then switches to points with the title capitalized, and then couple of points, capitalized titles, and then going over, it has a good profile. And even here you could see there is a media, and even the media, right, it's not just a random image. It's basically okay. Normally on LinkedIn you would only see this first sentence and then the image. So the image, okay, the image would be the first thing you see, right? So you see the image, okay, then you go up, then you see what does a CEO of a 25 million ARR business actually do all week. And you think, okay, the image means that he does a lot of things, and obviously you could relate to that because you're a startup founder or business owner. You could see, and you want to learn, right? It makes you think. So things like that is a narrative it builds. So it's important you understand when you're making the post. So try to use Postking, right, to create your first 4 posts, and through with images, include images as well as good text content, because it's very easy. Let's say you have Reddit content or websites, you could take that, put the link to Postking, and it'll basically create the post for you. It's very easy. Even if you have raw thoughts, right, that you don't know how to put into post, you could basically click on the mic button and start talking, and it will turn that into post. Do the first 4 posts, and you'll know what works and what doesn't for your profile, and then you can build on top of it, and you'll have like a week's worth of content ready for you within a couple of minutes. You wouldn't need to ideate much, and you could focus on your business and all those important stuff. Here the similar structure. Naja is a marketing executive sales executive at Heyridge, which is a LinkedIn automation platform. And you can see the posts here, right? This is something that makes the post, makes the reader think, and it's something relatable. It gives like a controversial opinion, makes people think, okay, what could she be talking about, and then clicks on see more, and then reads the entire thing. There's also clearly, you could see there's a rhythm to the posts. There are short sentences, long sentences, a couple of paragraphs, and then questions, and then conversational type text, things like that. And then we have a takeaway, right? Don't just enable your team by creating cadences, train them on conversation. So there's a learning for it. And then there's a media aspect. Then there's a carousel, right? So there's obviously, as you can see, there's a really common pattern that you could understand. There is a proper hook, and there is a good post rhythm, and it's quite structured, and then there's a takeaway, and there's media. So this is the way you need to structure your post. Obviously through Postking you could create your post, and it will give you the images, hooks, structure, takeaways, mentions, all of those things. Same example here, it has a really good hook, which is also quite controversial. Marketing and advertising are not the same, which is coming from an email marketer and an agency owner. So it creates more curiosity for the people. Post has a really good structure, as you can see, couple of sentences, then paragraphs, then it switches to points explaining that, and then commonly, as we see the pattern, there is a media aspect to it as well. But this is a different sort of post, right? You would normally see people sharing things that happened in real life, on LinkedIn. And this is one of the best ways to create like an authentic profile. Even what I would suggest is try to talk about things that happened in a day, things that happened in your week. Take a couple of minutes off maybe in the weekends and talk about things that happened, and posting will create a bunch of posts for you based on that, on what would work best for your audience and best for your profile, best for your specific niche as well. So it's very tailored. So here you can see Lindsay is talking about how she went to a presentation, talks about certain financing trends, all those things, gives a couple of links, and also does mentions as well. So this is a very authentic type of post. As you can see, she's including a media as well, and there's good amount of engagement on that as well. Although you don't get much engagement through this post, it builds a much trusted audience for your post. So this is really important, and try to take that, right. Take a couple of minutes off in your weekends, although you're busy. Take a couple of minutes off. Try to talk about things like how you build your product, things that you worked with your the way you work with your team, maybe certain principles that you follow, maybe you close a couple of customers, things like that, right. And maybe something interesting happened during the week. Put that on, it will generate the post for you. Same here. There's a really controversial hook, or maybe a relatable hook. Leading sales as a startup is all fun and games until, and that is the point where you see the see more button, right. So that is like a very important part which you need to optimize for. Anything above that will be something that creates curiosity for the people or makes them think. And the post clearly has a very good structure to it. This is one of the best working structures right now, which is being adopted by a lot of profiles. And you can see over here there's a good structure, and there's a media aspect to this as well, and it got good amount of engagement. And also, right, if you have any links, make sure to put it in the comments, because LinkedIn doesn't want you to get to another platform. LinkedIn wants you to keep on their platform. So it's good practice to put any link to your product or anything in the comments. So this, as you understand, right, as we already saw, there's always a really good hook, there's a post rhythm to it, there's a good structure, there's always a good post rhythm. There are a couple of sentences, paragraphs, starts with points and then goes to takeaway. There's a good learning, there are mentions, they are mentioning people and also giving away links in the comments. And then there's a media aspect to it. They include images, carousels or videos, mainly images, which is the best replicatable way, right? And there's a reason for the people to read that post. So it's very important. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I found this useful, and be sure to check out postking.io. Helps you create all of this. We have taken all of this and put it into one platform so that you could turn your voice, you could turn your Reddit posts, blogs, raw thoughts into successful posts. It will basically mass generate a week's worth of content for you in a couple of minutes. Have media, hooks, rhythm, everything ready to go and be scheduled for your profile on LinkedIn as well as on Twitter. So make sure to do check it out and let us know your feedback, and let me know if you have any questions and be sure to answer it. Thank you guys.